Have You Forgotten to Remember? Written and narrated by Sister Michelle Watson. Someone, please pray for me. You. Yes, of course, I will pray for you. You, 2 weeks later. Oh no, I totally forgot to pray for someone. It happens to us all. We know that someone is in need. We sympathize with their need and feel drawn to pray for their need. We tell ourselves that it's important, but we forget. Why do the needs of others so easily slip out of mind? There's a story in the Bible about this. In Genesis 40, Joseph is in need. We're talking about Joseph, the son of Jacob, the one with the coat of many colors. At this point, he's in prison with two of Pharaoh's executive staff members, the butler and the baker. Both have dreams, and Joseph interprets them. This is something that nobody else in the prison can do for them except Joseph. Joseph sees the need, and with God's help, meets the need. Joseph foretells that the butler will be restored to his post as cupbearer to Pharaoh, which means he's physically near Pharaoh every day when the food and drink are served. It's possible that Joseph had this in mind when he makes a special request of the butler in verses 14 to 15. But think on me when it shall be well with thee, and show kindness, I pray thee, unto me, and make mention of me unto Pharaoh, and bring me out of this house. For indeed I was stolen away out of the land of the Hebrews, and here also have I done nothing that they should put me into the dungeon. Joseph shares his need and asks for help. If you've made it to day 12 of the Life of Joseph scripture study, or you've read your Old Testament, then you know what happens next. The butler forgets Joseph. He means to remember, but he forgets. 2 years go by, and something jogs the butler's memory. Pharaoh has a nightmare, 2 in fact. He knows they mean something, but he has no idea what. None of his magicians or wise men can interpret it. That's when the butler smacks his forehead and feels guilt squirm in his gut. I do remember my faults this day, he says in Genesis 41:9. This time, the butler doesn't hesitate. He tells Pharaoh that there's a Hebrew prisoner who can interpret dreams for real. The butler forgot, but he doesn't forget forever. By doing his small part at that moment, the butler secures his place as a helper in God's great plan. When the butler remembers Joseph to Pharaoh, God's plan is set in motion again. Joseph interprets the dreams, is raised to power, and helps to save everyone in the land, including his own family, from famine. What if the butler hadn't remembered? Well, God's plan would have probably moved forward anyway, but the butler wouldn't have had a part to play in it. God had a plan back then, and he has a plan now. He's already told us a lot about the plan. He's going to gather Israel for sure. He's going to use Joseph's descendants to start the ball rolling. The Gentiles need to take the gospel to Joseph. That's their part to play. Joseph will rise, and all of Israel will recognize Jesus Christ. It's a glorious plan. But have we forgotten it? Like the butler, have we forgotten about Joseph? You've heard about the seed of Joseph and the divine commission and the choice seer and Zion. But it's easy to forget about these things as we move through our ordinary daily lives. The butler was overjoyed when Joseph said that his life would be spared, but that initial joy quickly faded when he returned to life as usual. Has our initial joy in this life-saving restored gospel diminished and faded from our life? If that's the case, God's plan is moving forward, and there is a place for each of us in it, if we're willing. The butler was a Gentile, but he recognized God's power when he saw it. No matter who we are or where we come from, God can weave us into His plan. Often, God jogs our memory with reminders that redirect us back toward His plan, reminders that refresh our spirit. What is God reminding you to remember today? The Life of Joseph Scripture Study is a 40-day deep dive into Joseph's life from birth to burial and beyond. In the description, you'll find links to the PDF version and an editable Google Docs version of the study. We hope you enjoy this resource. And P.S. Special thanks to Brother Dino D., who preached a sermon way back in January of this year that connected the dots for me and inspired this article.